Good. I think we're back live now. I want to apologize to the public for our difficulties. We got it back to going now. We're going to try this again. We will be starting at our old business, the 2021 proposed budget adoption. Ms. Tara Drop, our finance director, you have the floor.
So we are at the point where we've had our public hearing, and we've gotten the input from the public, and we've had our workshops. So we have the final draft budget, and we're at the point of adoption. This is basically what we've agreed to up to this point. So what I'm looking for today is a vote on the budget, unless council has more discussion.
Okay. We're going to open up for discussion. Councilman Corbett, will you start? Please, you have anything to add, subtract,
Okay.
or?
The main thing I have is to encourage everybody to read the budget letter that is part of the agenda packet. It has a very good explanation of the budget, of how we are handling our operation cost, how we have postponed capital expenditures, so recognizing that we have many uncertainties in terms of revenue incomes due to the COVID-19 crisis. With that, I'm comfortable with the budget. I think you've done a good job. We'll have a lot of work during the course of the year as we make adjustments and the income revenues become clear.
Is that all, sir?
That's all for now.
All right. Councilman Borman, you're up. Do you have any questions or anything?
No, just as Councilman Corbett said, I really appreciate the work that went into the explanation as to how the budget is being used. My only other comment is on the bonus. With these uncertain times and the way that the economy is going, I'm not really in favor of a bonus being part of the budget. Aside from that, I'm happy with everything else.
Anything else, sir?
No, that was it.
Okay. Councilman Phillips, you have the floor.
So I'll agree with the previous council members regarding the budget. I also will agree with Tom in that I believe the merit base should stay in place, but the annual bonus, I have a hard time supporting that right now. The number of cases are going up. We don't know really what we're going to have regarding the budget as far as things, if they're going to continue or if we're going to have a drop off in revenue, things of that nature. Me personally, I just generally have a problem with a guaranteed annual bonus. So from my perspective, I would like to pull the guaranteed annual bonus off right now. And potentially if revenue continues along a somewhat normal path, to potentially reinstate it as some sort of a merit-based bonus. That's more in line with just my philosophy in general, regardless of the COVID issues we're having here.
Anything else, sir?
That's pretty much it for me.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything?
Yes, I agree with both Councilman Borman and Councilman Phillips. I think the merit increase is something that we should remove.
That's not what they said.
He requested, or both of those were talking about the bonus. I guess that's the Christmas bonus was what they were looking
Yes.
at removing. They wasn't for removing the merit. They're keeping the merit.
No, I misspoke. I
Okay.
meant the bonus.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Councilman Nern? Councilman Nern?
I lost him.
Councilman Nern? He's not. Evidently, we've lost him. Yeah, he's gone. He's lost us. So I guess we're going to have to continue. Yep. Just go from there. All right. Sorry about that. We've lost Councilman Nern. We'll go on.
I'd like to,
Go ahead.
since I did not address that, I strongly agree with the idea of keeping the merit. I myself would like to keep the annual bonus. I think we could defer whether we want to, we could defer until beginning of November to decide whether we actually give it or not based on our expenses. I mean, some of our neighbors, Charlotte, for example, is given a 1% cost of living, at least in their budget proposal, on top of their 2.5% merit. Calabash itself was just given a flat 2.5% raise, and Carolina Shores a 1.6% raise in their budget proposals. So, I mean, folks are recognizing that there is increased cost taking place during the course of the year. We don't use cost of living bonuses or cost of living raises, and we haven't for several years at least. But I would like to at least keep the option of having that money available in the budget if we wanted later in the year, depending on our finances, to go ahead and authorize issuing it. I'm talking about the bonus money, $27,000.
All right, with that being said, we've heard from all the council, men and women. 3 of them have addressed interest in not having the bonus. So I guess we have 1 that is for keeping it until November and deciding there once we see what our finances are. So I guess before we can go on with this budget, we need to bring this up as far as the bonus pay. Do we have a motion that we take the bonus pay off?
We'd look
So
for,
moved.
we would just look for a consensus to adjust the budget. The only motion you'll be doing is to vote yes or no on the
Okay.
budget as
Well,
amended.
then we have a consensus. Mr. Phillips,
Yes,
Mr. Boardman,
I'm okay with removing it from the budget.
Councilman Borman,
Yeah, same with me. I'm okay to remove it.
Councilwoman Harris.
I'm not understanding
We're taking a consensus instead of a motion about
Okay.
removing the bonus from our budget
Okay.
at this time.
Okay, I am for removing the bonus.
Okay. And Councilman Corbett.
And I am not for removing the bonus.
Okay, Councilman Corbett's not, Councilman 3, and of course, Councilman Nern, we've lost him, so. Okay, next up, other than that, any more discussion before we vote? Mr. Phillips, you have anything else to add?
No, sir.
Mr. Borman, do you have anything else to add?
No, nothing else.
Councilwoman Harris, anything else to add?
No, sir.
Councilman Corbett?
No, but I'd like to make a motion then.
Okay.
I move we adopt the budget as amended.
I have one other thing. So because you're reducing the expenses on the expenditure side, the only change I would make, because it has to match both sides. So I'll reduce the amount of property tax coming in because we budgeted at 98%. So I'm just gonna remove that. That I think it's 25,000 from the property tax revenue. Just so you know where it's amended on the revenue side, because it has to match on both sides.
All right. With that being said, do I hear a motion to accept the 2021 budget
As amended.
as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Councilman Corbett,
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
and Councilman Borman.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Terra. Appreciate your hard work on working on that budget for us. Moving on next, our old business. We have the ordinance amendment, consideration of 9508 pets on the Grand Strand. We'll give it to Mr. Marziano from there.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, Councilman Borman requested the council consider an amendment to section 95.08 pets on the beach strand of the Code of Ordinances. There was consensus to adjust the time pets would be allowed on the strand by extending from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with no change in the evening. So what I presented for you is an ordinance amendment that affects those changes.
Okay. Councilman Borman, since you brought this up, do you have anything to add? Any comments, anything on this?
No, I'm in complete agreement with the change. I would like to make a comment to the one gentleman that had opposed it because of people not picking up after their animals. I completely agree with him that that is something that is really bothersome to me. We walk our dogs on the beach, and we always make a point of picking up after our dogs. I don't feel that the change in time will have any impact there. So I am in favor of the change. I do agree with the gentleman about the people not picking up after their animals.
Councilman Phillips, do you have anything to add?
Not at this time.
Okay. Councilwoman Harris?
Not at this time, and I am in favor of the ordinance.
Okay. And Councilman Corbett?
I still have mixed views of it. I recommended last time that we do a compromise and change the opening, the morning time to 9 o'clock. I still have some concerns. The question I'd like to ask is, how do we enforce this? What authority does the beach patrol have when dogs are on the beach after 9 o'clock? I mean, yesterday, after the rains in mid-morning, there was a flood of owners with their dogs going down to the beach way past 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, so the question again here is, how do we enforce this? Is there, what is the fine? Does the beach patrol exercise that fine, or do they have to call a policeman to do that? Or
They'll probably call a policeman if the people refuse to leave. But yeah, the beach patrol enforces those beach rules, and that's one of the beach rules. Yesterday, as your example, Deputy Chief Adams was out there as soon as the rains let up to start shooing people away as well. And for the most part, they all complied, right, Paul? Have you issued any citations for the dogs on the beach this year? Do you know of?
No citations. We tried to...
Make sure that's on. There you go.
To my knowledge, I don't believe we've issued any citations yet. We try to educate people. There are quite a few tourists that it is an education issue. Yesterday, after the torrential downpours all morning, and then it stopped and started clearing up a little bit before it rained again, there was a lot of people with selective amnesia that forgot about the ordinance and no dogs on the beach from 8 to 5. So Deputy Chief Childers and one of our beach patrollers went out, because we pulled them off during the storm. So they went back off and are back onto the Strand and chased people with dogs off. So that's our challenge. We try to be nice and remind people of the ordinance. I don't really want to start throwing citations out,
Right.
but if we have to, I guess we will, and with the support of the police chief too.
It's the standard citation though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's that fee?
I don't have it with me,
$50,
It should be 25.
I think.
you know. 50, it may be 50. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
So, but your beach patrol does not issue citations.
Yes, they do.
They do issue citations.
They issue the civil citations. They can't issue criminal
Okay.
tickets.
Okay, and so the
This is a civil citation.
civil citation, then they get issued to somebody on the beach who's been in violation of the code, and then what happens?
And the person's supposed to leave the beach clearly or get cited again, but then they come pay their fine.
Okay, and if they don't pay their fine?
We start doing a recovery as far as I'm concerned, depending on how far you want to go with it. Civil penalties, people usually have been paying them as far as I'm aware. So I don't know if we need to go into debt service collection, things like that.
But so far this year, we've had no incidents where somebody has actually received a citation and had to pay a fine. Everybody has left the beach when told to leave the beach.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay.
To my knowledge.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge right now.
The idea would be to have everybody, even visitors who have a sign to read when they go onto the beach, to recognize they for the good of everybody, they need to comply if we do this 9 a.m. And I'm willing to go with the 9 a.m. I'm just don't want to keep finding dogs out there on the beach in the middle of the day.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing we're gonna have dogs on the beach that we have to chase off because one, people don't know the ordinance, or two, go out anyways.
I've said my piece.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment as well?
Yes, sir.
So I agree with Councilman Corbett about enforcement, and it's not just for the time. I mean, the same thing goes for the leash laws and the picking up after the dogs. I think that we do need to enforce all these rules. I think that 95% of the people, maybe 99% of them, follow the rules. But when people don't follow the rules, then they should be at least counseled, and if they resist following the rules, then they should be asked to leave.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's it. Thanks.
All right, with that being said, do I hear a motion that we'll be amending 9508 Pets on the Beach Strand to allow the pets to remain on the strand from moving from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, and then they will be able to come back on at 6 o'clock at night?
Moved.
Do I have a motion? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Councilman Corbett?
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris?
Aye.
Councilman Phillips?
Aye.
And Councilman Borman?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up will be our state of emergency discussion. Before we start this, I'm just going to make one request before the council goes into discussion. It's been numerous people that I've reached out to. Citizens have reached out to me daily about the situation with the porta-johns. I myself have been out there a couple of times in the afternoons and at night, and it is terrible. It's a mess, but I mean, there's nothing physically that we as people can do. It's up to every man and woman theirself. The people that go in there and decide to be terrible in the bathroom, they're going to be terrible regardless of what we have. But without running water and with it just being continuous, never going away, I will ask the council that we put the old bathroom that we have back in place at the gazebo, and that at this time we would have that one. We would not put the one back at the road at this time, and we would not use our new bathroom at this time. But with putting the other one back and also turning on the park where our people can have access to water and to have flushable commodes, to look into that. But also we can only put out so much supplies and we can only do so much, which is exactly what goes on in the porta-john. It is basically enter at your own risk. We hope that we'll have things in there. We'll try our best to keep it as clean as we can. But if people come in there and decide they're going to be messy, we can't micromanage that. We will not have someone standing at the door watching everybody that goes in. That just is not feasible. But moving on from there, Councilman Phillips, do you have anything in the state of emergency orders that you would like to see or discuss or questions about?
So I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, on that, to put the older facility back down towards the beach and open up the park's restrooms as well, with the understanding that they may not be able to be supplied as often as normally. But I think it's just a better option at this point than the porta potties. The other one that I would maybe bring up is we've had concerns about the one-way accesses and their effectiveness. Clearly, this is an example, I think, that also would go back to when people bring up the events at the park, that when we ask people to comply and follow rules without having anything we can enforce behind it, that there are a vast number of people that won't comply. So looking at how we're having the issue of enforcement on that, I would be fine removing the one-way accesses off the beach as well. And that's it for me.
Councilman Borman?
Just to clarify what Councilman Phillips said, you said that you would be in favor of removing the one-way?
Yes, I'd be favored just going back to normal beach access operations at this time, because it's not my preference per se. It's just my understanding how we're not able to enforce it at this point, and people just aren't complying. And it seems like no matter what we do, people just aren't going to comply to that.
My comment to that is that I'm in favor of us keeping the one-way. I do appreciate the comment about the signs, and I don't know what we can do to improve that situation so that they're more visible. But as I look at the numbers that we're facing with just Brunswick County, the last council meeting, we had 96 positives. We now have 232 by my look at the data, which if you look at the change in the number of positives versus the change in the amount of testing that's done, that's like a 20% increase just since the last council meeting. So I think, though I wish people would be would understand why the one-way is there and would follow the rule. I'm not in favor of it. I'm not in favor of us taking away the attempt anyway to keep people distance from each other. For Sunset Beach itself, I think before the last council meeting, we had 0 positives for our zip code. The last council meeting, I think it was at 1. We're now at 6. So there is a trend there that is concerning, and I think we need to do what we can. And I do understand that there's going to be people that for whatever reason feel that they don't have to follow the rule, or they don't feel that the virus will hit them. Until it does, I think we should keep things the way that they are. As far as everything else goes, I think that we're doing the best that we can. I wait to see what the governor is going to do. I think he's going to speak again next week. And when you look at the state's numbers, they're also going up considerably. And now North Carolina is considered to be a hotspot. So I'm waiting to see what Governor Cooper is going to do. But until that changes to a new phase, I think that we're doing what we can with the phase that we're in.
With regards to the bathroom, sir, what's your stance on that?
Oh, with regards to the bathrooms, I would go along with that. My question would be, would there be some kind of signage or something? I mean, I understand the administrator's concern about letting people know that they're entering at their own risk. I don't know if we need to put signage on the bathrooms to reinforce that and make sure people understand that we're doing what we can, but that there's no way to have that thing cleaned after each and every person, obviously. So I would go along with it, but I'm just asking the question, would we benefit from having some kind of signage there to let people know what the situation is?
Mr. Mayor, can we just stay on one topic and let's work through and get everybody's views on the bathrooms?
That's fine.
And then sort of get a consensus and move on rather than have a long laundry list of things. My question would be, I've jumped in here, but is one, how long would it take to put it back? And two, what are the implications and the concerns of putting it back in terms of keeping it clean, keeping it serviced, keeping it supplied, and solving the problem that it's the people who use the bathrooms and the porta potties that are the ones that are messing them up?
Well, to be fair, we'll just have our cleaner go out there the same she does every summer, twice a day, morning and mid-afternoon, or early afternoon, I can't remember which. As far as keeping it supplied, I was going to say if you want to put the bathrooms out there, then the people that want the bathrooms so badly need to bring their own toilet paper. We'll run out of supplies. People will steal it. I mean, it'll be crazy.
It takes about 2 to 3 hours to put it back.
I mean, so you could put it up this afternoon.
Well, we'd have to get the porta-johns out of there
I gotta get the
first.
porta-johns out of there first.
So they'll have to come collect them. And on the day they collect them, then
I can move it in,
Okay.
and if they do it in the afternoon, Dustin can have it the next morning.
yes. So I gotta get the porta-johns out of the way first, before we can get it in there.
But I still maintain that people should bring their own, or advise to bring their own toilet paper. We can't guarantee it'll be there. We can't guarantee the soap will be there.
There should be some kind of a sign, as Councilman Borman said, that says,
Yep.
use at your own risk,
We'll
bring
take-
your own supplies.
We'll tape all that up on there, but you know, we're not in town hall every day to get these complaints.
Yeah.
And, you know, the complaints are going to come in on Saturday and Sunday, and Public Works is not here Saturday and Sunday to service that bathroom. So it must also be put on there that, you know, if out of order, it's out of order. And there's no alternative. When it comes to the ones at the park, same deal. People, you know, run in there, they take supplies out, they damage the stalls. It's going to have to say the same thing on there. Out of order, it's out of order.
Is it clean 2 times a day?
Yes.
Week-
Both
seven-
of
seven
them
days a
are
week?
7 days a week.
Saturday, Sunday, okay.
Yeah, 7 days a week,
I
twice a
mean,
day.
when we go in there to clean, I guess it'll be a matter of restocking in, and if it's out, it's out. I mean, there's nothing we can do there.
I would prefer not to waste our supplies, but yeah, that's the case. It'll happen that way.
We'll just stock it as needed.
Yes.
As best we can at those times. Okay. Anything else?
All right, that's,
All right.
if anybody else has.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything about the bathrooms?
I agree with putting the one bathroom unit back
At the gazebo?
at the gazebo, yes.
What about the park?
What about the park?
Jamie
Are you
brought
in-
up the park. so-
And for opening it back up and letting them use the park one?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a number on that. Do we need to?
Go
do we
back
need
to
to
one-way
motion that, or
walkways?
just- Okay, we will, but I'm just talking about as far as the bathroom. You want to do everything in order, so I want to take
Yeah,
care of that
yeah,
first.
Okay.
As far as the bathrooms we have, it seems we have an agreement on that. So that would be as putting in our older bathroom, not the new one, but the old unit back in at the gazebo. And it would be a matter of letting the people move the porta-johns where we can get them back in there, so it may be a couple of days, but we will be looking at that. It will be cleaned twice a day, as it always is in the summertime. And we will be requesting that people bring supplies, because we cannot guarantee that they're in. And it's on you. At the end of the day, it all comes down to each man and each woman are going to have to take care of themselves and take care of their family. They just have to use a little bit of common sense to the best we can. We can't control what people go in there. If they're going to be dirty, they're going to be dirty. We can't go right in on top of that. But we just hope and pray that everybody will do what they need to do to keep it going where we can keep it open. Moving on to the next one, will be about the one-way walkways. We've had Mr. Borman has requested that we do not keep it open, or that we do, I apologize, we keep it one way. And Mr.
Right.
Phillips is okay with opening it back up, just both directions. So now we'll be going to Mr. Corbett on this. Can we get your take on this?
My view is we clearly have had trouble getting people to voluntarily comply with it. Having said that, and I've encouraged more permanent or more substantial signs, and I think we should keep the one-way walkways. We are still in a serious situation with COVID-19. The governor has said he will address the public at the beginning of next week to determine what he's going to do with phase 2, whether he continues phase 2, goes into a 2.5, or goes into a 3. But he pointed out in yesterday's press conference that the trends are going in the wrong direction, and he was non-committal what he was going to do. In that same discussion, he said he's asked his staff, and they're looking at whether there would be a statewide policy on face masks, which kind of relates to walking on the walkways. One of the reasons we have the one-way walkways is to try to make sure we're keeping the social distancing. I would like a stronger ability to enforce it, but it is very difficult to enforce. And our beach patrol is not in a position to keep spending their time running up and down the beach telling people they're going the wrong way, particularly when the main result they get is some bad language or just be completely ignored. I would like to come up with a way to do some better enforcement, but we do not have the police resources available. And I don't think it's a good use of the police resources. So I want to keep the one-way walkways and just put the onus on the visitors, the residents, the part-time owners, to encourage everybody to go the right way on the walkways for the greater good. And leave it like that. I don't want to change.
Councilwoman Harris, what's your stance on the one-way walkways, please?
I would like to keep them one way. It is our responsibility to protect our citizens, and that is an effort to maintain social distancing. I agree we have difficulty policing it, but just opening it completely back up, I think would be a mistake.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, we definitely have the numbers to keep the walkways back open. It's basically 3-1, so the walkways will continue to stay one way. And moving on to the next session, I would say we need to pull up about the events, as far as events in the town. I know we talked about
Mr. Mayor?
sort of waiting. Yes, sir.
So the one thing about the walkways that had come up is about the signage. Is there anything that we can do with the signage?
Without buying professional signs, no. We don't have the capability of making larger colored signs. We don't have the resources. So we would have to go to a sign shop or order them online or something and spend money to do that.
Do we have the capability of cutting a 1/2-inch 4x8 piece of plywood into 8x11 pieces and stapling them on so they don't flap?
Yeah, but it still requires us to purchase stuff. But yeah, it'd probably be cheaper than ordering signs. The problem though is people are still going to say it's too small. I can't see it. I don't know how that's possible.
If it's folded over, they say that. But if it's not folded over, some of them have been. The great majority of them up there are holding their shape and doing well. Some of them have been taken down, and I'm pretty sure that none of them have blown off. They've been assisted in being removed.
No doubt there's been a lot of vandalism, specifically next to one particular individual's house who was more than upset about it being one way next to his house. So there's been a lot of vandalism, but the matter of catching the individuals in the act versus knowing who did it are two different things.
But I think we ought to at least try to. It's kind of clear there's some of them are flopping around. Even if we just bend them over on the side and put the roofing nails to hold them down, to keep them from flopping over. Something that's a valid complaint, I think.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving back to it in the ordinance, as far as the events, we need to discuss that. As far as having the events, I know we talked about last time, sort of waiting till the governor come up. His meeting, from what I understand, is on the 26th is when he'll be making his next ruling, and we do not know whether he will.
Well, he indicated he was going to announce at the beginning of the week.
Okay.
But the effective date of phase 2 is the end of the week, the 26th of June.
That being looked at, we have another meeting on July the 6th. Would it be best to look to, as far as looking in at that time, whether to go ahead and start events back according to what the governor's ruling is? Go ahead, Mr. Margiano.
We'll have another concert in between this meeting and that meeting that we'll need to decide today whether you're going to have it or not. And then we also need to decide that week's concert as well, since I need to cancel more than 2 weeks out to make sure that we don't waste any money.
Yes.
So what you're saying is our July 1st and July 8th concerts should be...
We need to decide those fates today. Unless we want to go ahead and pay deposits and then just cancel. I don't, and honestly, I don't foresee, I know this is still the unpopular opinion, I don't foresee us having concerts this summer. I don't think there's going to be a large enough area for us to have that many people per any governor's orders in any phase, unless he just flat out opens it up to any number of people can be outside at the same event. Which, with the numbers trending the way they're going, I doubt he goes that way. But that's an educated guess, not a insider track on anything.
In regards to the events and these two concerts, Councilman Phillips, what's your stance on canceling or waiting? What is your stance there, sir?
I think we continue to go down the path we've gone previously with this, and we cancel the July 1st and July 8th, but we hold on to the others at this time until we see what we can do as things hopefully progress and get better and don't continue down the path we're currently on.
Councilman Borman, what's your stance?
I would agree with that approach. I mean, right now, the way that the rules are, you can't have more than 25 people in a large gathering. I don't know if it's going to change significantly from that number, which would allow a concert. But I think we should hold off before we just write the whole season off.
Councilwoman Harris, what's your stance?
I believe that we should keep it the way it is right now. And if that means canceling a concert, then I'm in favor of that. We already know that the CDC is recommending social distancing and wearing masks as an effective way to keep the virus down. But people are not listening to that advice. People are not wearing masks, and they're not social distancing. So I believe that we need to not encourage any kind of events that would put people in harm's way.
Thank you.
I'm in agreement there. So with that, canceling is the July 1st and July 8th concert at this time, and revisit on July 1st after we've heard what the governor has to say, what we're going to do about any other special events, particularly the markets. I still, based on the discussions we had last time at the last meeting and the way things have transpired, I think we should not make an exception, and we should not have markets in the park again until the governor's guidance is sufficient for us to safely do that. So,
And just so I can real quick say that every concert we've canceled, we're also trying to talk to the band to see if we can reschedule later in the summer should we have time to do more concerts. So for the public's concern that we may not have them, it's if we do end up having them, we're still trying to reschedule others for extra dates as we cancel, but we probably won't go into September. So that leaves a couple weeks in August that we may try to get some of these bands back to do more and to do another concert.
Okay. So that we have the group, they pretty much decided we were looking for Mr. Marziano to reach out and cancel the July the 1st and the July the 8th concerts. We will revisit this at the July the 6th meeting. After that, at that time, we will have a government ruling and be able to tell more about the events. So as of right now, no events going on until our next one. Next up will be about our staff, about as far as our staff coming in and all. And I'm just going to reach out to the council and just ask them that I think until the governor makes his ruling, it's a no-brainer. We don't do anything. And right there, with it being at the end of this month and we have the holiday coming up, the July the 4th, I say that we don't reach back and even look at this again until the July the 6th. So as of right now, keep the council doing exactly what Mr. Marziano has them doing. Our staff working the way they did the 3-day deal or whatever y'all seem necessary to get the things done. I think everything in the town is continuing to get done as needed. And I appreciate each one of you working continuously to keep things going in the right direction. And Councilman Borman, can you give me a stance on that, sir?
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. Councilman Phillips?
I agree.
Councilwoman Harris?
I agree.
And Councilman Corbett?
I agree.
Okay, that being said, that takes care of all that. So pretty much the ordinance that we have now will stay just like it was. We will be.
One comment, please.
Go ahead, sir.
On concerts, we're meeting July 6th. You need 2 weeks to cancel. So actually, there's a July 15th concert too.
Yeah.
That we need to, July 6th would take us up to, that decision would affect our July 22nd concert. We can make it, but we need to cancel, we need to go ahead and postpone or cancel the July 15th also. July 1st, 7th, and 15th.
Yep. I keep having it in my head that we were meeting July 1.
Yeah.
Councilman Phillips, did you hear that? That we would be looking to cancel the one the week after, I think it's the 15th?
That's
Due
fine.
to the time period, is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Borman,
Yeah, that's fine. Makes
Councilwoman
sense.
Harris,
It's fine.
and Councilman Corbett.
Yes.
Brought it up, so. Okay, so we'll be canceling the events through the 15th as far as the music venues, and we will relook at that on the 6th. We will talk as discussion in future events. Back to the staff deal, I think everyone has agreed on that, so we will keep that where they're working now. Mr. Marziano has them working like they're working, and it seems to be working well at the time due to the circumstances, so we'll keep that the same. If there's anything else, any more discussion as far as anything in the events, does anyone have anything else?
Just a reminder for everybody that we do meet the public here Monday through Wednesday outside, only inside as needed under strict conditions, but they need to make those appointments with us at least 24 hours in advance so that we can have everything set up. We don't just leave the setup out every day. So just for everyone's general knowledge that they're welcome to come talk to us about whatever they got to talk to us about, but we'll be doing it under safety conditions.
You are here, but just call in and request a meeting time,
Yep.
so we'll be prepared. Okay.
And curbside, if you need to pick up your hurricane passes if they didn't get delivered, or you need mosquito briquettes, just call the front desk and we'll meet them outside and drop them off in their car.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about masks? We have the letter in there and other people who have
We can.
are
Yes, sir. We can
encouraged
definitely
us to
bring it
do
up. Would you like to
mandatory
start
masks. I don't think mandatory mask, given our geographic situation and the spread of our population and our relatively reduced density, is going to be something that we can mandate and enforce with any degree of effectiveness. We see that it doesn't work in the grocery stores and other stores. I find that very difficult. I did go and try to reach out to Orange County, North Carolina, as one email suggested. I emailed and called and left messages with the county manager, with the chairman of the board of the county commission, and with one of the mayors in that district. The face mask ruling there was put into effect Friday, June 12th at 5 p.m. And so not only I didn't get any responses, but there's no experience factor in terms of how well effectively that worked. There was an also suggestion and a link to go look at Florida, which has opened up, Miami-Dade, and I'm not sure exactly what their decision was, but the county itself has over 2 million people and has 47 police officers to carry out their enforcement. And at a county level, they are doing a program to have beach ambassadors to assist reminding people to wear masks. But that's funded and supported by the county, which is much larger and much bigger. The point being, it was suggested to do some research. I did research, and I can't find and can't build a case that it would work effectively for us, in my opinion. They're valid suggestions, but I don't think it'll work. If the governor does it next week, I'd be surprised if he does, but if he does it next week, then we would have to abide by his guidance. But until then, I say no.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything on that?
I agree with Councilman Corbett. I think we should wait for the governor
Okay. Councilman
to
Phillips, do
make
you have
that
anything?
ruling.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you.
That's all right.
Councilman Phillips, do you have anything?
I agree. I think enforcement of that without would be a nightmare, quite honestly. It's just something that we were having a hard time enforcing walkways. I don't see how we're going to enforce masks on people. So, but personally, I wear mine everywhere I go. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Councilman Borman?
I wish we would have more compliance with wearing masks. Like Councilman Phillips said, I wear one whenever I go out to the stores and things. The suggestion that was made on one of the emails to have volunteers enforcing it. I mean, we've seen how that works on the walkways. It leads to some confrontations, I think, that I don't think we want to put private residents into. So unfortunately, I think that we would have a very difficult time to enforce that. Wish it was different, but that's the facts for now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have anything else under this? All right, moving on to our new business, our disposition of directives for our July the 6th, 2020 meeting. Of course, we need to put as far as the special order events and all that kind of stuff, we need to put that back on there, the state of emergency order. We'll need to address that again on that. A lot of it will be seeing what happens with the governor when he makes his next move, and we need to have that on there. Anything else? Mr. Phillips, do you have anything you want to put on any future meeting?
Well, one thing I've noticed that we have on here on the upcoming agenda items is we have the island parking discussion. It's been sitting there since, I guess, shortly after Tom and I joined the council. And just personally thinking with the budgetary issues we're looking at and everything else we're trying to manage at this point, I would be fine if we pull the island parking discussion off of a future item.
Councilman Borman, do you have anything to add to the amendment?
Just a question about the status on the airboat.
Yes, sir.
Is that something that we need to add to that agenda as well? Or
It's on the
will we be ready
7-6. It's on the
to do something
7-6.
with that?
We have it down on the 7-6 meeting, the airboat ordinance consideration. That'll be on that meeting.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Anything else?
No, that was it for me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Councilwoman Harris, do you have anything?
I have nothing to add.
Councilman Corbett, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, moving on is our public comments time. Do we have anybody in the back that would like to
Will
speak?
you check real quick? Before we do that, I'm sorry, I was distracted a little bit. We just got an email from the county informing us about the coronavirus relief funds
Yeah.
that we were applying for.
What I was addressed to yesterday.
Those funds are being distributed out to all the municipalities that we all applied for. All the municipalities applied to the county for. The county is going to distribute those. The same amount they were going to make available to municipalities, they're distributing based on the sales tax formula. So we've got the distribution list here. I'll give that to Tara. Most of our items that can be reimbursed through FEMA, they're advising we do apply for FEMA, but these funds can be expended on any COVID-19 related issues. So we should be getting notice about how much soon. But once that money comes in, we can start reimbursing ourselves for some of our expenses. We are still going down the FEMA track.
I actually received an amount yesterday of what they're thinking when 2 different councilmen called me yesterday. I talked to them. So it's going to help us. I actually talked to 2 of the councilmen yesterday before their meeting, and both of them informed me of what was going to happen or what they were looking that they thought would happen. And it actually has worked out for the good, and said that we would still be able to apply for the FEMA also, which you just mentioned. And it looks like it'll be an amount that'll definitely help us through this time.
Yeah, and since I've got the tentative amount here, they're still calculating everything. Yeah. But with the FEMA reimbursement, this is going on until the event ends. Right now, they're slated. You can apply all the way through December of this year. So we plan on doing incremental applications, starting one in July, and then doing one every quarter after that. Just put ourselves in the queue. But with this money, will help offset some of that as well.
One alibi.
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to request that in the finance director's report next month, that we get a comparison for this year, January through June, or whatever date that we have, figure the month by month, what our accommodation tax receipts were for this year compared to what they were last year, so we have a sense of the impact that this has been having on us.
I've already asked Ms. Drop to do that and the sales tax comparisons as they come in.
Thank you.
Anyone in the back? We're at public comments time? Yep. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Please state your name and address. I know it, but go ahead
Rich
and state it.
Serrato, 517, Twisted Oak Lane, Sunset Beach.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I have provided Cindy a letter that I will like to have in the record, but I will not read it aloud because I'm not here to embarrass anybody.
Yes, sir.
But someone needs to explain why we are continuing to dredge South Jinks Creek. That has not been explained to the taxpayers. We have been at this for over 5 years, and it is still continuing. And everything that has been presented is totally hypothetical. The federal authorities denied the permit. We now have sandbags in South Jinks Creek. Who are we fooling? Can someone please explain to the taxpayers why South Jinks Creek is so essential that it has to be dredged? And no one has done that. And it has created the appearances of conflict of interest. Secondly, I want to thank you for restoring some sense to the budget. We've spent more time on dog leashes, walkways, concert series than we have on the budget. That's all I'm going to say. And I wish to thank you for also removing the payment of private property, which would have been a very dangerous precedent. I don't know how these things get created. But anywho, thank you very much. And I urge you that you remove South Jinks Creek. And I urge you that you finally conduct a survey to the owners of the Bay Area, the Finger Canals, and the feeder canal to see what their desires are. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, sir. All right, I will be reading the ones that were sent in. We'll be starting off with Miss Gina Young. Can I put a plug in for redoing the 9th Street walkway as a priority? Having to use it lately because of the one-way rule has made me aware of the bad shape it is, rotten wood, splinters, raised nails, and many, many stairs. Next is Mrs. Rita Weiss, 429 28th Street. I would like to address the speed limit on the island. I sit here and watch cars and golf carts speed up and down the street all the time, and especially on the weekends when they're trying to grab a spot on the street. I'm assuming the speed limit on the island is 25, since that is the sign upon entering the island. I would like to request a speed limit lowered to 15 island-wide and with more signs advising that. Thank you for your time and your consideration. This is from a Monica Vogel, 427 Cobia Street, Sunset Beach. In regards, it says, it's talking about food trucks. We recently did a special event in our parking lot and invited Dixieland Kettle Corn to join us. We had participated in an event in OIB the day before, and Dixieland was also set up. We did not realize that this is not allowed in Sunset Beach, even though we are both licensed business and it was our parking lot. It was not until a city planner stopped to inform us that and requested that Dixieland shut down. I would like to request the town of Sunset Beach consider allowing food trucks to set up. I know they are at town events such as Sunset on Sunset and summer concerts. Perhaps you could offer a limited number of peddler food truck permits, regulate the hours of operation, regulate setup locations. I do know there is an ice cream truck that has been randomly driving through our neighborhoods. Maybe that is a different permit. Especially during these crazy times and when the markets and festivals are being canceled, I'm certain it will be helpful to small business owners such as Dixie landowner. If not a possibility, are there special permits to host them in our parking lot on occasion when we do special events? Would like some clarification on special events. Thank you. Okay, this one is from Mr. John Farrell at 624 Oyster Bay Drive. It says, as attached below, the NCDEQ announced Monday that the U.S. Commerce Secretary has decided to override NCCZ-MA objection to somatic testing off the North Carolina coast, despite the objection of North Carolina coastal communities, including Sunset Beach. This decision can be appealed. I'm sure I speak for many in Sunset Beach to request the town council to send a letter to the NCDEQ requesting that they appeal this decision. And it went on to carry some information within that meeting that I won't read. It's just different stuff on the printout. And lastly, I have one from Ruth Reynolds, North Shore. In regards to safety, I am requesting consideration of an ordinance regulating the use of skateboards and golf carts on our busy street. I witnessed the dangerous act of individuals holding onto a motor vehicle while riding a skateboard. I am not against the sport of skateboarding, but I think a busy street has increasingly been incremented with travel and is not an appropriate place for skateboarders or underage drivers of golf carts. The majority of the skateboard fatalities were on public streets and involved a collision with a car. Furthermore, it is alarming the amount of underage golf cart drivers I see on the daily basis and who have no regard for street signs or pedestrians. I implore you and our law enforcement to establish rules and regulations around golf carting and skateboarding before we are impacted negatively or someone gets hurt. On another note, I would like to give a big shout out to Beach Patrol member Nikki. While on the beach recently, I noticed a cabana not in compliance with our rules. While on her tour, she was observant, stopped to inform them of proper procedure. It is important that we continue to hold visitors accountable when rules and guidelines are not being followed. This message sends a message of consistency and sets a precedent that Sunset Beach is a place to be respected. Thank you, Chief Hasselmeyer and Assistant Chief Richard, for hiring such a competent person, and thank you, Nikki, for holding the visitors accountable. And that concludes the public comments, and that will also conclude the meeting. Just want to wish all our citizens and our visitors, just please be respectful of each other. We don't micromanage. We're not trying to micromanage everybody. We just want everybody to enjoy their days, whether you live here all the time, whether you're part-time, or whether you're a visitor. We welcome you to the island. We just pray that everybody works together and let's all get through this time so we can get to better days.
Can I ask a question? Wait,
Yes.
just a minute. Sorry about that. Did you get did we, the town, get notification about the change in the seismic testing rules?
No, we did not, but that notice went out yesterday, at some point, based on that email. I was copied on one of the emails eventually from Mr. Farrell had sent to Mr. Larkin and Mr. Rademacher. But no, the town was not notified. I seriously doubt they notified many times unless you were on a specific newsletter.
I didn't get it till last night.
The town previously has sent resolutions and letters stating our opposition to seismic testing and drilling offshore. I would like to put an amendment into the directives so that the next meeting we resurrect that resolution and resubmit it.
All right, at this point, what you really need to be doing is asking the state to appeal the decision.
Then
So that should be within the resolution.
That should be what we try to do.
Yeah, and I was already planning on typing that letter up and sending it out this week, but if you'd rather put it in the resolution at the 6th, that's fine.
Which is most effective?
Probably both.
Let's do both then. You send it out, then we'll do it in a
So
resolution.
we'll put that on the directives on the 6th. We'll add that to it. Anything else? Councilman Phillips, Councilman Borman, y'all have anything to add? Councilwoman Harris,
Nothing.
Councilman Corbett,
That does it.
thank
you.
everybody for joining.
Thank you.